Alright, so the baseball stitch. This is a very pretty decorative stitch line that you can put onto a piece. I see it a lot in handle wraps for tools. So if somebody wants to put like a leather grip on a hammer handle or an axe collar or something like that, I see the baseball stitch used a lot. It's a very pretty, effective stitch, as I said. You can also make your own baseball. So to get started, we've got our piece, we've got our holes prepped and ready to go that we want to sew together. This is a 2-needle stitch, so we've got both of our needles threaded up, ready to go. And to start off, I'm just going to take one of my needles through the first hole on one side, around the back, and out the same hole on the other side. Just like that. Pull it through, pull our thread even, so we've got the same length of thread on both sides. Now, I'm going to start with the thread on the left, and this will be the one that I start with every time, all the way down the stitch line. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over top of its own side, down in between, or down through the line in between the two pieces of leather, and up from behind in the next hole down on the opposite side. So similar to the cross stitch, where it crosses over the line at an angle and goes down to the next hole in sequence, but different from the cross stitch in that it goes under the one side instead of over both of them. So now we'll lay that off to the side. We'll grab our thread on the right side and we will repeat. We're going to make sure this goes over top of the thread that we just ran through, over top of its own side, down, and underneath the other side. And right now I don't have to pull this super tight because this stitch is a little easier to cinch up. But you can see there we've got our first stitch in place, and now starting again with the thread on the left, over top of its own side, down between, and back up from underneath the right hand side. Right hand needle, over top of its own side, down between, back up from behind on the left hand side. And we're going to continue this pattern all the way down, down through, back up, down, over top, down through, back up. Here I can go ahead and cinch this down a little. This is a stitch that it's always nice to use a lot of contrast in your colors. Don't know what's happened here. There we go. So it's nice to have a color contrast. Here I've got a darker leather. I'm using a bright white thread. A lighter color leather, or like a white leather with red thread, looks good. So I mean, just something nice. Or obviously you can blend it together. You could do brown on brown if you wanted to. You didn't want as visible a stitch line. It's entirely up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and finish down the rest of this line, and I'll bring you guys back to show you how we finish it off. Alright, so we finished the main run of our stitch line. Now we have to finish it off so we can trim off our excess thread and call it done. So here at the very bottom, I'm just going to cross these over straight across the stitch line down through. Take the other side, do the same thing. Do very lightly, snug that down a little bit. Now on the back, I'm going to just tie an overhand knot in my thread against the back. Being careful not to pull so hard that it puckers the seam and warps the leather. And now I'm going to just go ahead and trim off my thread ends. Got my lighter, melt those little tags down a little bit. And there we have our completed baseball stitch. Now, as with most stitches in leather, if we want to, we can go through and give that a little bit of a tap, flatten everything out, can make our thread a little bit more pronounced, and help clean up that seam a little bit. That's totally optional. There you go. One completed, very pretty baseball stitch.